very important thing for us.
All right, very wise, answer to the same question. So thank you so much. And then we're going to invite you again to our SMU, another special event. Regarding how we can apply the Mandela's the podcast on Korean Peninsula. Okay, so I think that we just exchange like our discussion point and her responses. So now it's time to open the floor. So if you have the question or the comments on her talk today, just raise your hands. As I said, identify yourself very briefly and then just make your question very short and quick. Yes, in the middle, I think the gentleman.
Thank you very much, Ambassador and the panelists for giving us very insightful thoughts of President Nelson Mandela. And I have no questions, but just comments what I feel when I heard the ambassador's share of her father. It's a reflection to my situation when I was a young boy in a remote area. And at that time, my mother did not realize that education was a broad way that could send me to this point at the moment. She now passed away, but at that time my mother just pushed and encouraged me to go to school. Even I didn't realize that education is very important and could lead me to this stage. And unfortunately, my mother could not see what I am today. But it reflects President Nelson's legacy of pushing education for remote and poor people, especially for girls in remote area. That's only through education that we can find a way to improve our social status. And I'm very happy that I could, even I was innocent to recognize that education was the best way to improve and to lead me to this stage. But Mandela could encourage me to teach my fellow family, relatives, and my kids to put priority on education that could lead them to a bright future. That reflects me a lot on that. So I promised that I could follow Mandela education's legacy for young people, at least my family's members, if I could not encourage or influence to larger crowd of people or the nations or Cambodian people, but at least my family. So that's just my reflection on that. Thank you very much.
Your sincere lecture about the President Nelson Mandela, your father.
His name in the family or
Mandela.
Actually, you said Uzenani. What did you bring? Frankly, I'm still searching. And also, during the apartheid years, to have this name was a hindrance. So I think basically when I got married, I was just running away from the name. I was in prison and our family secrets are going to come out. I got married very young, and one of the key things my father said to me, you've got to get an education for you to succeed. And also you've got to get an education so that our black people can continue and work and impart knowledge for the generations to come. Because if you do not have education, how are you going to rule the country? That's part of his legacy for us. And each one of us, actually all his children, we've got university degrees. We all went to university, and I thank him for that.
So I just want don't know about the thoughts because I was a student who were studying public administration here at SNU, and it was interesting for me to study with many public officers from around the world, including African countries. So I would like to know what we can do for the peaceful future. Thank you.
I think he's a prosecutor, former prosecutor. So I think he got a lot of advice there. And I want to stay on that topic. Because as I explained, I'm a guest in this country. I serve at the request of Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, and so I don't want to be recalled. I was saying things that I should not have said. But what I would advise you to do is to do a little bit more research on my dad and in terms of peace and reconciliation, if you want to, and I can assist you with that with the Nelson Mandela Foundation contact details. I have been to visit the Kim Dae-jung Center. I have met the sons and the family there. I had a lecture there last year at the center, and it was quite enlightening and very emotional for me also, because I accompanied my dad when the president was alive, literally, and I just thought that the two of them made a great team, you know, and I think that we can learn from both of them, actually. Another story. I really love going around with nobody knowing who I am. When I take out my passport, I'm just an ordinary person. I love that. I don't like people making a fuss of me. And actually, I don't give media interviews. So a lot of people in South Africa, they know my name, but they may not necessarily know me. And I want to be incognito all the time. So it just helps me. It's for me. That's what I decided. My siblings have carried on the name. And even my children have taken on the name, actually. So it's just an individual choice.
National Congress are the main question, especially, and also because in Korea, normally they use the 민족, national, okay? But who now they want to use 국민, there is more integrity meaning. So this is my question. Right? Do you understand? Especially the ambassador talk. My actually the academic colleague during the Yonsei University. Yes, ma'am.
A tricky question. It is easier for you, but for foreigners who doesn't really understand Korean well, so okay, translating is it's nation. 민족 means more of a ethnical character, ethnical, and 국민 means more of citizens. Okay, so he wants to know how to properly translate ANC to Korean. So yeah, so African National Congress.
African National Congress.
So national would be more of a national as a citizen, right? Than people. Would it be people? Is there be more emphasis, or is it kind of citizen of state? So you ask very tough question. You see? So don't expect to get easy answer right away. So maybe we discuss. Professor Kim, you understand? It's a tough question.
Yes, I'm just pretending to understand. All right. in Korean, like the 민족 versus 국민, yeah, it's a different like meaning, embedded in the different, but same character in Korean. So these are, as you know, Mr. Pang mentioned, relatively speaking, like so ethnic, related. So we are the one like the the nation. I mean North Korea and South Korea, because we are one people living in the same like the territory. It's kind of the Korean Peninsula. So we just highlighted some the same origin of nationhood. In that sense, we can say use like 민족, but 국민 is like more modern term, modernized term. I mean, they living, surrounded by the territorial like borderlines, and we have some kind of sovereignty, and also we have government and so on. Some kind of democratized, all the democratic regime we have. So a little bit like the Western term. So that's why it's not easy which one is a right term to, I think, represent one, the keyword of A and C, especially national. So it depends on, I guess. So we can discuss right after this panel. Yeah, with some food. Okay, so right. I think another question here.
The Philippines became the seventh member of the group of friends of the Mandela Rules, which provides for the minimum standards of treatment for persons deprived of liberty. I think this is one other legacy which is deeply rooted in his experiences, and at the very core of it is really the belief and the philosophy that for anyone to really flourish in this world, at the core of that must be respect for the human rights of every individual.
I remember the day that we had Diva's funeral at the Cape Town Football Stadium. And what was really touching for me was about how South Africans were perceiving Madiba's death not as a loss of the great father, but more of celebrating what he has achieved and what he has done for South Africa and for the world. And I indeed think that South Africans have different way of viewing things. Well, now we're living in an age that is defined by these ever more tense great power relations and a fracturing of international order, which makes countries like South Africa and Korea and its foreign policy gets even more tough. So, well, there is no if in international politics, but if Madiba is still sitting in the driving seat of South African foreign policy, what would South Africa's foreign policy in general would be like now? Would it be somewhat different or similar? And South Africa's maybe foreign policy to Korea? What and why and how? Thank you.
Was my father to rest. He started his job, and it's now up to us to take it forward. I think this notion of what would he do, what would he say, it's our time now, and he left it, and his foundation says it's in your hands now. So I think let's just leave both my parents to rest. They fought hard, they worked hard for the liberation of our country, for democracy, and I think we should just leave it at that. Oh, and Teresa.